All right, this is the Winter Swiss edition. See, I got on my Swiss coat. My Swiss coat is probably made for the Swiss Army. I don't know what it was made for, but it's all wool. Right now it weighs like about 25 pounds. If it gets rained on, it's going to weigh something like 55 or 60 pounds. So I'm going to wear it while the weather is cool. See, I'll have to come that way just a little bit. Yeah, let me come that way just a little bit.
Well, I can't get in there.
Well, you have to climb over the chairs, what you have to do. Hey, folks, we are our own engineers, so we're working on getting the...
Funny thing about the Swiss is the law says you got to own a gun if you live in Switzerland.
You have to own a gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't have a lot of gun violence in
Right.
Switzerland.
Yeah, I can imagine. You don't go and threaten a man with a gun if he's got a gun.
Yeah, he got a bigger gun than you do.
That's right. And so in every state that they have permitted concealed carry, and they got no business permitting it because it's already permitted. The right to bear arms. They don't say you got to have it on the outside, inside, upside, or backside. It says you have the right to bear arms. And the state of Tennessee is in direct violation of the United States Constitution by not allowing people without a special permit to carry a loaded gun. So I just,
Let me point something out to you that I learned recently. I had never thought of.
Okay.
The First Amendment. That's one of them there leftists is always so defensive of.
Okay.
This is the text of the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law representing an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble or to petition the government for a redress of grievances. That says Congress shall make no laws. That don't say that the city, the county, or the state can.
Right.
The state can establish.
Well, the Constitution applies to only to the federal government.
That's right. That means that each state can have their own religion if they want to. They can establish a state religion.
I don't think so.
Not Congress, but each state.
Right.
Now, and that means if you don't want to be a Baptist, you can go to Massachusetts and be a Catholic.
Right.
Now, listen to the difference here. Of course, you know all this, but the Second Amendment. Now, this is the entire Second Amendment.
Right. Okay.
It says a well-regulated militia, and that's defined as the people, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Right.
That don't limit it just to Congress. That limits it to the whole damn country.
That's what I'm saying, in fact, I think everybody that wants to carry a gun ought to carry a copy of the Constitution. And if the authorities ask you for your permit, show them the Constitution.
That won't make any difference. They'll still take your hand into jail.
I know that, yeah. But I think eventually it would work its way into the Supreme Court.
Well, it's already been there, and I'm telling you, we're going to get screwed one way or the other.
Well,
the states, they're saying, the Supreme Court says, even Scalia says, and he's about the most, without you take up Thomas, but Scalia is probably the strictest of strict. They call it strict construction. He observed the strictest construction of the Constitution, and he leaves it open for the states. I can't see that. I can read English, and it don't say that.
Right. No, it doesn't say anything about Congress or anything else. The Second Amendment applies to the individuals living in this country. And
that's right. And they don't even have to be citizens for it to be that way either.
Right. Now, I've heard something today that was really startling to me.
I learned something today too that's really startling to me, but you go ahead of yours first.
Okay. I heard today that they came out with the figures and everything, that there was 25% of the women in this country that was under mental
Health treatment?
treatment.
Yeah.
You know,
That's driving them crazy.
no, that's not what's starting it.
No.
The fact is that
There's
there's
25.
75 of them present out here running around that ain't getting no treatment.
Okay, I'll go along with that. Now, I'll tell you what I found out. I found out that McDonald's can change the course of water.
Change the course of water.
Yeah.
In what way?
Well, in this way. They were talking about building McDonald's up there at where the Claiborne Nose used to be.
Well, yeah.
And they had a drainage problem
I
there.
understand, yeah.
And they were going to take that man's property across the road that had them porta potties and fix that drainage problem.
Right, yeah, I understand.
McDonald's decided not to build there. They're going up there on the other end of town, and that water problem has taken care of itself. They're no longer threatening to fix
Right,
it.
in other words, there's not a health problem anymore.
No, they fixed the drainage problem just by talking McDonald's into going somewhere else.
Right.
So I figure, you know, what Georgia needs to do is get McDonald's to talk to Tennessee and get the river changed so they can have water
right,
down there.
yeah.
They've been trying to steal
They're
our,
planning
they've
on-
been arguing over a strip of land down there for years.
Yeah, put a real big McDonald's in there and they'll change the river.
And I got another question to ask you. Here in front of witnesses. That there hearing aid, do I get to take that out of that recent advertising
what?
payment? That hearing aid, do I get my $30 out of that there Napa payment or not?
No, you won't get it today. That
Okay.
will come later. Folks, as long as I own Ronnie, he'll never be broke.
No, I'll just be waiting. I know there are other people that owe me and I can't spend a
Right.
dime of it.
And they said this real rich Arab sheik
Yeah.
had to
You're
have
standing on the cord
had
down
to
here.
have an
Put
operation
it a little closer to your mouth.
that required extensive blood transfusion.
Put it up here where they can hear you.
So it was a real rare blood type,
Yeah.
and they searched high and low for a supply of blood in case they needed it for this operation. And they finally found this old Scottish gentleman that had the same blood type as the sheik.
Yeah.
And he said, sure, I'll be glad to give that boy blood. And he gave him a couple of pints in reserve. And when the operation was over and successful,
Was this one of them sick?
no,
Sheiks?
no, the rich Arab sheik
Yeah.
sent him a new BMW, a whole pile of money, and a bunch of jewels. And I mean, just made the old boy rich. So it wasn't too long after that he had to go in for another procedure and he needed some blood.
Mm-hmm.
And the old Scottish boy said, yeah, I'll be glad to give him some blood. So he gave him another pint or two of blood, and when the operation was over, the sheik sent him a thank you card and a basket of fruit. The Scottish guy called up and says, look, I'm disappointed. Says, after the first operation, you gave me a new BMW, a whole pile of money, and a bunch of jewels. Says, now why wasn't this one as important? He said, well, since I have Scottish blood in me now, I have to watch my money closer.
Well, at least that's not anti-Semitic.
Right,
Which,
yeah. But I thought that was good one about 25% of women being on some
yeah, at
type of
least
mental.
75%. We're just a mercy that other 75%.
Right, the other 75, she's in the bathroom. You know.
Oh. Well, we, if you want to be economical, the best place to buy your propane is Digger Wilson.
There's no other place to buy it.
That's
but
where all the
Wilson's
Scots.
propane.
That's where all the
I
Scots.
came right down by there a while ago, and he had his little operation just a pumping out there.
And we got some of his propane lit right
I
over
see
there.
that, and I feel that warmth coming across. Is that hickory or mesquite?
No, that's the flavorless.
Okay, all right.
Because I figured we'd get hungry before the show was over if I lit in that.
I tried to have to go out. If you put that mosquito on there, I'd have to go out for a hamburger before the show was over.
That's the flavorless. That's very bland.
But now you can't beat it. It burns 100% of that fuel. You won't see any of it dripping on the floor.
No, it don't leak out at all.
And it just, you get 100%, almost 100% efficiency out of these little Mr. Heaters or other people.
Put moisture in the air too. You don't get all dried out and your nose don't
I don't even have to put foot cream on my feet.
That's right. He don't. You don't pour no water on it either, do you?
No. Well, I haven't poured any boiling water on it anymore. Let's say last night I had a big old pot of chicken and dumplings cooking, and the handle was kind of hot. And when I tried to pick it up, I said, I better get something to pick it up. I said, I do not want another scalded foot.
5625444 for all your propane needs.
That's Wilson's Propane right down there in Sawmill Holler.
I'll tell you what I done.
What?
I bought a plastic container of tomato juice.
Okay.
And I drunk it. And
Okay.
it wasn't good.
Right.
You can get better tomato juice cheaper right over here, and it comes in a can. I think it's 99 cents a quart or whatever that is, 30 ounces, 32 ounces. And I put that in my plastic container. I rinsed it out and put it in my plastic container because I could put the lid back on it, you know. And I drunk that. And I didn't have any more to go in it, and instead of washing the jug out, I just set it back in the refrigerator. I thought that'd be all right. Well, it wasn't in there but a week.
Right.
And I looked in there, and I don't know how quick it happened, but I looked in there, and there was black things hanging around there. It had been in the refrigerator the whole time. So I'm sure that's how you managed to inoculate yourself.
Was anything swimming around there? Well,
there wasn't all it was just what was left on the inside of the jug.
Right.
And I intended to take it out when I got some tomato juice, take it out and wash it and put some more in it, but I throwed it away. But it had them there little black things that you discussed about that you'd had growing your tomato juice.
Right, yeah.
So you don't have to leave it out a long time or keep it a long time for it to happen.
Well, no, see what happened, I didn't realize this one had even been opened and not resealed back good, you know. And I just went through the kitchen that night and didn't even turn the light on. I just reached in there and I had 2 jugs sitting there. I got the one on the right hand side, turned that thing up, go. I took a good healthy swig of it.
It wasn't too healthy.
Well, I mean, I took a big drink of it. It wasn't too long after that I had serious complications. So I stayed in the hospital 5 days.
I know you did.
So,
if you hadn't had good insurance, they'd just give you an outpatient
they
card.
sent me home. Well, let me tell you what they did up here to a friend of mine. I don't like to throw off on hospitals, you know. Everybody in Knoxville, I'm sure, throws off on theirs, and they want to go somewhere else. And everybody in Oak Ridge throws off on theirs. They want to go somewhere else. And everybody in Apollock throws off on the hospital here. They want to go somewhere else. Now, you know Big John that comes up to my place. He was in an accident down here at Save-A-Lot.
Mm-hmm.
They carried him to the emergency room. They sent him home. Said he was okay. Boy, he started spitting up blood and hurting real bad, so they carried him to UT in Knoxville. He had 3 broken ribs. He had a punctured lung, and he had a ruptured artery.
Hello.
And his lungs were filling up with blood. And they turned him loose and said he's going to be all right.
Well, how is he now?
Well, he stayed in intensive care over there for a week, and he's finally back home. And
Wonder he hadn't died.
Well, yeah, it is, really.
A ruptured artery don't usually forgive much.
No, sure didn't.
Well, they had to cut him open, didn't they?
Punctured lung, 3 broken ribs. That's not counting lacerations on his...
Well, they cut him open and fix that artery?
Oh, yeah. Sure did. But, you know, it's
there ain't no excuse for that.
No. It's
I mean,
almost like, you know, I'm being honest with you. You know, I got a notice from my health carrier that I was entitled to a free eye examination. Now, I've learned a long time ago that if you go to auto shop where they specialize on brakes and things like that, that's what's wrong with your car.
Yeah, you're going to need brakes.
Yeah, and if you go to a chiropractor, you got a crooked vertebra. Always. Well, I should have known that if I went to an eye doctor, that something was going to be wrong with my eyes.
Yeah.
Now, they supposedly, and I'm sure they did, took cataracts off of this eye here. That's my right eye. And they put a new lens in. I cannot see as good out of that eye as I can the one that had an operated on.
Well, now, I needed eye surgery, and
Yeah.
I can see good out of both mine now.
Well, you know, I sat around and read all the time with no glasses before I went on that eye surgery. Now, I will admit, I don't know what it is that I do see just a little bit better going up dimly when I go up there at night.
I'll tell you something. It would have got worse if it was a cataract. When I first started getting cataracts, I got it on my left eye, I think. And I got till I could read fine print
Right,
with my left eye.
right,
Without glasses. I hadn't been able to do that without glasses in 20 years.
right.
And I got to reading about it, and it said cataracts, the first thing you notice is you can see better close up. And what it does, it changes the shape of your
Right.
lens in such a
Right.
way you can see small print.
Right.
You probably, and then what really got me is any kind of bright light. I'd be blind if I'm going out the road and meet a car coming. I was blind. I couldn't
Right.
see a darn thing.
Right. Now, mine's a little better than it was. I never have been blind, you know, going meeting a car, but mine's a little bit better than it was.
So you probably had a cataract, but I've said before, and I still say it wasn't time for surgery yet.
I think you're possibly right. You know, I'm going to delay having anything done to this eye because I still, like I say, I see good. I can read now. I always read without glasses, you know. And
You remember I used to wear 2 pair.
yeah, I know you did. So I'm going to wait on that one before I have anything done. And, but it's great that we have a country that has about any procedure to correct the problem that you have if you've got insurance or the money to do it.
Well, money won't work every time.
Well, no.
You have to have insurance, and they're canceling a lot of that.
Right, yeah. You know,
Vital Care takes about everybody's insurance. You know that?
Yeah, they'll take insurance, you know.
They let you ride to the hospital in their truck, didn't they?
Huh?
They let you ride to the hospital in their truck, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Sure did.
562-9370 if you need to ride a truck to the hospital.
You want tender loving care. You want somebody that's going to come promptly. They're not going to jerk you around and throw you around, you know, and they treat you like with respect and with tender loving
Whether you
care.
deserve it or not.
Right. And
They're good people.
they even call me sir.
Well, they'll do that sometimes when you
Right.
got, the right people taking care of you.
Folks, I'm sporting a new outfit. This is a World War II Swiss Army wool coat.
You don't,
Huh?
do you wear breeches underneath that
Well,
thing?
this is not a kilty now.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just thinking about,
Right.
them guys with them
Oh,
subways always wearing
you
them.
talking about the Swiss Guard at the
No, I'm talking about they always got these guys, you see them in movies and stuff that have these big long coats on and
they're gonna flash somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the French Guard at the Vatican.
no.
They dressed up like a bunch of buffoons is the way
They
I
ain't
look
French, are they?
at it.
Oh,
Swiss.
French.
Swiss.
I mean, at the Vatican?
yeah.
I thought they had their own crew.
No, they're Swiss.
Really?
Well, they are Catholic, you know.
But they're under contract to the Vatican?
Well, yeah, the Swiss nation.
The closest I ever got, I had a knife one time.
Really?
Yeah, a Swiss Army knife. Them things expensive now.
Yeah, I'm sure of that. You know, I like this coat. I thought it was a smaller coat when we were taking it done. And I came down off the hill this morning. I went back to feed my goats and feed my dog and my chickens. And when I came back down here, it was cold. So I started looking for something to put on, so I found this Swiss trench coat, I guess that's what you call it. And it's one like you would wear if you were going to lay siege to Russia.
Yeah. Petersgrad.
Petersburg.
Well, that too, same place.
All right.
Now right there is a black ice classic Swiss Army knife, and it's only $100.
Is that all?
Yeah. That's our price. It says
Yeah.
so right there, your price.
How about that? You know the Swiss.
Now there's another one for 130. They're camouflaged, so you can lose.
Swiss Army that I know of has never waged a war.
No,
I don't know why
everybody.
their equipment is so much in demand. Maybe it keeps you out of war.
Well, what it is, they won't nobody invade the Swiss because they've got the money. They're holding the money till the war's over. You don't want to go mess with your banker.
Right, that right. Did you ever read the story of how the Allied Army moved the Lipizan stallions out of the way of the Germans?
There was a movie about that, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Didn't they haul them in an airplane or something?
Yeah. Sure did. And now you can still go to the circus and see them. What if they had one at the Lion Circus?
I don't know. I never have been. Well, now wait a minute. Nobody invaded Switzerland. Why'd they move the horses?
I think the Royal Lipizan stallions were in Austria.
Well,
I
what's
think
that got to do with
I think-
Switzerland?
No, I don't think Swiss.
Well, I agree with you, but I thought we were talking about Switzerland.
Well, we were, but
You just hopped right over to Austria.
yeah, I don't know why I got the Swiss mixed up with the Royal Lipizan stallions.
Okay, I'll go along
They
with
were
that.
royal because the royalty of Austria.
Yeah,
That's
that's where they had the Von Trapp family.
Yeah,
Trapp.
right, yeah. And you know the richest people in the world, you know who they were? The Schwarzburgs of Austria.
Yeah.
Richest people that's ever been.
And then richer than Solomon,
Probably.
richer than King Tut,
Probably.
Tutankhamun
Yeah.
Smith.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Egyptians, of course, did not value the life here on earth like they did the life hereafter. That's the reason they buried all that wealthy stuff with them, because they felt like they were going to need it in the hereafter. And, but you know, getting back to the Constitution a while ago, you know, it said that Congress shall make no laws
Congress.
either preventing people from practicing a religion or promoting it.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what it says. But you know, nowhere in the Constitution does it say that you have freedom from religion.
That's true, and nowhere in the Constitution does it say that the states can't. I mean, there's some state constitutions that don't allow it, but nowhere in the federal Constitution does it say that the states can't establish a state religion.
Right, I think that's very true.
I didn't realize that till this past week.
Right, I did. I knew that. And that's, then you get federal civil rights law gets all tangled up in states' rights. And so you have you have to have a conflict between state law and federal law on the practice of different religions. But what do you think about it? We're going to go up and handle some snakes?
I'm going to watch. You can handle all you want to.
Not me.
Why?
I don't mind catching them things.
I ain't catching
I'll
none.
catch them. I'll take a copperhead or a rattlesnake or whatever it is, and I'll hold him. I've done that.
Well, I tell you what, I'd a whole lot rather hold them on the end of a shotgun.
Well, that's true, too. I've taken pork and sticks many times, pin the head down, grab them right behind the neck. And
I ain't catching no snakes.
They don't bother me one bit.
It don't bother me how many you catch either. I ain't catching none.
Well,
I don't do snakes.
I don't do as much like that as I used to, but I've caught them anyway. And I caught an old snake down there next to the river bottom one time. That was the meanest and the orneriest snake. He jumped at me, he spit at me. I'd never really seen a snake like that, and I finally got him pinned down. He was about that big around, and I carried him down to the zoo, North Line Zoo.
What was he?
They told me, I forgot what it was, but he was non-poisonous, but he sure acted like he did. He rattled his tail and everything else, tried to, like he was a rattlesnake. And but they said he was non-poisonous.
He must have been one of them mocking snakes,
Probably.
like a mocking bird.
Yeah. And he was a big one. And my son-in-law, I've got the picture. He caught, evidently, it was a one that had escaped from somewhere. He killed it, and he had it thrown over his shoulder, and his tail drug the ground on the back, and his head was on the ground on the front. And he's right at 6 foot tall. The snake was almost 12 foot long.
Well, I'll tell you, Kramer sold me a car about a year and a half ago or something, and I bought it as a spare. And I took it out there and parked it in the field, and it's been sitting there, and I sold it back to him. He was needing a car, and I let him have it back for whatever I paid for it. We ain't remembered. We're still working on how much that was. But anyway, he came out there and got it yesterday, and he put a battery in it and put some gas in it, started right up, and he raised the trunk lid, and he's putting an old battery in there and getting ready to come back to town. And I said, look there. And he said, what is that? And I got it out. It was a black snake skin. And it was about 4 foot long. It was every bit of 4 foot. I just hadn't measured it, laid out there on the ground. And he was talking about how big it was. And I said, well, that was in the spring when it was 4 foot. It's probably 5 foot long now. But I said, don't worry, it's asleep in there somewhere. So I had him all skittish and driving back to town. I don't know whether it got him or not, but I had him pretty well convinced, and maybe true. Maybe it was true that snake was still in there, and it was a hibernating. Right. And whenever it got warm, it'd crawl out and get friendly. Yeah. And
so he didn't turn the heater on the way.
I don't know, but now that snake, that hide was every bit of 4 foot, and I'd say it's bigger now than it was then. It wouldn't have shed the skin.
Right.
It's a big old black snake.
Right. I had one that stayed in my barn. I had a 135 Massey Ferguson diesel, and I had a set of leveling hairs, pickup hairs behind it. And I pulled it in my garage at my farm and dropped the hairs down on the ground. And I had a black snake. He'd go under that hair, and when his head was coming out of the front of the tractor, his tail was going under that hair. Now, he was a big one. Well, he stayed up on my barn, and I had an entrance way. I had stalls here, and then you go up, you had the upper level to put your hay in. And then they going up, and they had 2x4s and supports there for the rafters. And I had an old boy there, he'd come in there. I forget how many tons of fertilizer I had. I was getting in 50-pound bags, and he was unloading it off the truck for me and stacking it. And he looked up there, and there was that old big black snake crawled around in 2x4s hanging there looking at him. They said he had a 50-pound bag of fertilizer on each arm, and that he jumped on the truck with those still under his arm.
100 pounds. We had some people cut some hay out there off of our field. It's been 25 years ago. Cut some hay, and they had it, put it in the square bales, and they had it stacked out there. Right. And they covered it up with black plastic, right. You know. And I think it was my plastic. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, they come and got the hay and threw the plastic down. Right. And I went out there to get it. I was going to save it. Right. And I went out there and got it, and I had a little old lawnmower and had one of my little two-wheel wagons that goes behind it. I went out there and I rounded all that plastic up, and it was kind of wadded up, and I wadded it up and took it over and laid it down on that trailer. And then I drove it over there where I was gonna
Use
well, I was gonna
store.
I was gonna take it off there, and I was gonna fold it up tomorrow. It was getting late, and I just left it there on the trailer. And when I left it there on the trailer, I noticed it just kept unfolding.
Kept what?
Unfolding. And I thought, well, that don't seem right. I just noticed it, you know. It was unfolding, and it wasn't. It was coming unwadded, you know, in a way that didn't seem natural. So I pulled it off the trailer, and it just kept moving. And I started unfolding the sucker, and there's two big old long black snakes in that thing.
How about that?
And I grabbed them up like this, took them over and laid them on there. They was two in there,
Right.
and they'd got under there where it was warm, I reckon. I just picked them up and carried them over and laid them on the trailer.
Yeah. Well, you know, black snake has a territory, and he will keep rattlesnakes and copperheads out.
And I don't know about that, but there was a barn there where my house is, and we tore the barn down and built a house there. And when that barn was there was always a black snake, at least one, maybe a whole family lived over in that barn. And it took me 10 years to get them to quit coming back to the house. You go out the door and they'd run in the door.
Right.
And I killed them, I hauled them off, I run them off, I done everything I could. And I was over there, you know, I moved over to the other house.
Right.
I was over there back in the summer, and I went in the kitchen, and there was a black snake in the kitchen. And what I done, I was walking across through there, and I stepped on something, and it didn't seem right. And I looked down, and it was a black snake, and I'm standing on a black snake. And he's run over there, he's found him a crack, and he's hid over there. And I'm standing on his tail.
Right.
And I thought about, you know, do I want to kill him or do I want to leave him alone?
Right.
Because I wasn't living there. I didn't want to be in the bed with him, but I'd
keep the rats out.
I'd keep the mice out. So I just took my foot off of him, and he slithered on through, and I don't know what happened to him after that.
Well, he's still there.
I guess he is. He may have been down there in that car waiting on Kramer. There'd been black snakes over in that place and I tell you something else. For about 2 or 3 years in the late part of the summer, every year these old black horseflies would just cover the outside of my house just as thick as they could. They was still hatching out from that old barn there. And they'd just cover the wall. I mean, there'd be 2 million of them. And it took 2 or 3 years to get rid of them things. Of course, what do? There ain't nothing you can do. There wasn't no horse hockey there to keep feeding them, and they quit coming back. But they hatched. Don't ever build a house where there's a barn or a graveyard. You never know what you might find.
That's very true. Yeah. You know, I was reading an article in Sunday's paper in which they were bringing up the fact of just how unenvironmentally friendly ethanol is.
Yep.
That they are turning marginal land that's not suitable for corn into corn crops. They are planting the crops very, very heavy and fertilizing them very, very heavy, reaching a 230 bushel per acre yield. Now that's a lot of corn.
I know it is.
And because 230 bushel of corn per acre.
People used to get 20 and 30, didn't he? He used to get 20 and 30 bushels.
Oh, yeah, well, I was one of the first in Gilbert County to get 100 bushels per acre back in the late 40s and early 50s. I had several acres of corn that we tested produced over 100 bushels. We were really in high cotton then, you know.
High corn?
Yeah, high corn. But they get 230 bushels per acre. By over-fertilizing, the rainwaters are washing that fertilizing, also the pesticides they use on that, into the streams.
And the net energy is a loss because it takes more to produce the fertilizer.
Well, that was the next thing I was going to say. Besides polluting the local streams, it's creating there's a dead area off the coast of Louisiana, which no fish or any type of marine life can exist because of the pollution that comes down the Mississippi River. Well, all that taken into account, not only does it pollute the rivers and everything, but it depletes and causes the soil to erode. Corn bringing $7 a bushel now, and the plants that produce the ethanol, they don't use ethanol to heat the plants and create the ethanol, because it takes more than a gallon of ethanol to make a gallon of ethanol.
I know, and another thing, it destroys engines, and it reduces gas mileage.
Right, yeah.
And the Bible, I never have read this. I was told all my life that the Bible said you wasn't supposed to burn food.
I've always believed that. My daddy said you don't burn food, you don't burn bread,
Yeah.
you don't burn anything that's edible. And I've always, I didn't feel like maybe I was sinning by doing it, but I was always taught not to waste anything.
Well, I just cannot bring myself to burn food if I think it's going to just be
I burn it sometimes unintentionally.
Well, yeah, but just to put it in, burn it unless it's, it bothers me to have to dispose of chicken bones, because I'm afraid to feed them my dog, and I ain't got time to grind them up. I ain't got nothing to do it with either. But if it's just going to be something I know is going to attract rats, I'll take it away from the house and throw it away, because I just can't stand it.
Now, can you take like, I made a big batch of coleslaw, and it was good, and I ate off of it for about a week. Kept it in the refrigerator, and it didn't look bad, it didn't smell bad, but yet I'd had it for a good while, and I had probably about a serving left. And I said, no, I'll take it out here and throw it on the garden spot, which is now fenced in for the goats. So I took it up to, when I went up there to feed the goats, and I throw my old coffee grounds on there, and I throw my old coffee, if I have any of that throw away, I throw it on there. I carried up there and threw it out in on the ground up there. And there my billy goat was over there eating my coleslaw.
Well, he liked it, I'm sure. I have to fight the goats way to feed my dogs. But
that dog I got, Elka, she thinks she's a goat. I got a nice dog house down there, and I got cedar shavings in it and everything. She goes up there and sleeps in the house with the goats.
Well, you got to
then
stay
when
where
I
it's
go
warm.
to feed the goats in the morning, she has to come down there and have a bite of that grain herself.
I don't feed mine.
Oh, I always give mine just enough, just a handful, so they come when I call them.
Well, mine will come when I call them, but I've been waiting till, I want them to finish trimming up some more. I got plenty of grazing.
Oh,
right?
yeah, and those of mine are so bad, she just...
But I fed them back when I had them fenced in, because I figured they needed more than they was getting there. But I take a lot of times, especially if somebody gives me some fish to clean, because I ain't no danger of me catching none. When I get done, I take scraps down and throw them in the lake.
Right.
And I do that if back when I had chickens, and they'd get the owls would kill them. It's bad for that. But I'd take them down there and tie a rock around them, throw them in the lake. Them catfish eats them.
Sure.
I'll probably end up in jail for doing that, but I'm right. If you think different, you're wrong.
Right.
I saw the prettiest buck today as I was coming out. I ain't gonna tell where I saw it. It wasn't at my house, but I saw he looked young, but boy, he had a pretty rack on him. He was a trophy deer, but I don't believe in trophies. If you ain't gonna eat it, ain't no use in shooting him.
Do you know why you can safely eat a male deer without having to neuter him first? You
No.
ever think about that?
Well, you can safely eat a hog without neutering him, but that don't mean he's gonna taste good.
No, but you don't have to neuter a male deer to make it taste good.
Well, I don't know why, but I had
I'll tell
wondered
you why.
why.
It's the male deer that comes in heat, not the female.
What about goats?
A goat is the female.
Well, I was gonna say,
the
my-
male
I was gonna
stays in heat.
Something wrong with mine.
Well,
They ain't cooled off since I got them.
He comes in heat the first day of January and goes out on the midnight 31st
Yeah,
of December.
That's the kind I got. They can't decide who's gonna be the girl tonight.
Well,
If you have trouble with your goats or anything you need to pave the lot, I recommend Dixie Concrete. How about you?
I guarantee you, I believe those of mine might be the only critters on earth that would gnaw on that Dixie Concrete.
Dixie Concrete is immune to goat teeth. I mean, they can chew. Has goats got teeth, or they don't have teeth, do they?
They don't have teeth in the back. They got them in the front.
Do they?
Yeah.
I thought they's probably like a cow.
No.
Cow, cows they got lower teeth and don't have upper teeth or
Right,
something like
yeah.
that. Anyway, the Dixie Concrete, 562-5656, and they down there, they got all sorts of concrete products as well as...
They got about as many different types of concrete as Digger Wilson's got different types of propane.
Guy, they got more. And they got complete septic systems, and they got them big old boat anchor chunks of rock that you can use for a boat anchor, or you can use it for a retaining wall, or you can put it out there to keep your neighbors from running over your rose
Or
bushes.
you can use it on your mother-in-law.
Yeah, if you can get her under it, they'll never find
If
her.
you get her to go swimming with one of them.
Yeah. Them there concrete blocks are amazing. I was down there, I was just admiring that floor down at Food City yesterday. I just happened to think of it and look down. It's just slick as a ribbon down through there, and that's Dixie Concrete.
Yeah, dear. Did you think any more about doing the countertop out of concrete?
Yeah. I don't know whether my cabinet would hold it up.
Yeah, well, it's not really that heavy. I've got...
I don't know how to polish it.
You can use my member number to go online, and they'll show you step by step how to do it. Okay?
Uh-huh.
And it won't be trial and error. You'll have step by step how to do it. It's a beautiful job.
I know. They make them look like granite.
Yeah.
Dixie Concrete, 562-5656, and I guess, maybe I'll go ahead and tell them about Napa, because everybody has car problems this time of
I
year.
was up at Napa yesterday, and I bought a switch from a Bobcat. And
A switch to make it go.
Yes, sometimes you have to switch them things to get them going.
Yeah.
Well, this is a key switch, and it was not configured exactly like the old one. So I had my scholar in training up here.
Uh-oh. Wait a minute. This one up here?
Paint those terminals.
Uh-oh.
So that, we can match them back up. So he goes out there and he only paints the terminals on the switch. He doesn't paint the wire. I said, huh? He said, well, I remember where to go. I said, we wasn't doing this for your benefit. I said, you might
What was you using painting them?
You might not be the one to put them back, So I went out there and we painted the wires to match the colors on the switch. And I carried my switch up. I carried my switch up to Randy up at Napa yesterday. And he said, well, it says right here, battery. It says starter here. It says auxiliary here. And I forget what the other one was. And I said, yeah, but how do I know which ones these things go to? So he looked on my old switch and he said, well, white is the battery. Says orange is the starter. Red is the accessory.
Yeah.
and the other one, I guess, is the heater. It's a
Maybe
diesel.
the supply wire.
Diesel, huh?
Maybe the supply wire.
Yeah.
Oh, is it diesel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably the heater.
562-9406 if you need any advice on how to
Straighten me right out.
hook up your switch.
I guarantee I bought that switch. I'm going to tell you what I paid for it. If I had to go to Bobcat over in Knoxville, probably would have cost me $35, $40.
I doubt if you could have got it.
Yeah, I may not have got it for that. It cost me $16 up at Randy's. So going up, whatever he's got a good deal on him.
You know, I heard about that guy that was helping you. He was with that crew that was out in the ocean whenever they found that there treasure.
Right.
And this guy said, well, mark this spot and we'll come back and get it. So he just chalked the mark there on the boat. You know, he's right down there, so he just marked it on the boat.
Right.
So they're going along, the guy said, did you mark that? And he said, yeah, I marked it right here. And the guy said, well, you old fool, you've used chalk, that'll wash off. That's the way he was marking your switch, wasn't it?
Okay, well, yeah, it's...
All you got to do is park that mark on
I
it.
kind of feel like Aunt Hester, it's learning, relearning, and just giving up.
All you got to do is park that mark in the same place and it'll be right down there.
Oh, Lord, I could tell you some more. The best one, I guess, yesterday, I had my repairman to pick up a washer that I had up the house. It worked fine. I just let it sit up there. And probably moving it around, it was a little lid switch. I'm pretty, it would not ring out because, you know, you got to have the lid closed, and that thing has to be depressed. Well, I said I'd get him to check it out anyhow. So I had to go home, and he brought the washer up there, and I left $30 with him. I said, that's not enough. I said, tell him I'll pay him the rest tomorrow. I didn't figure it'd be hardly anything. He had two washers. Well, one of them he had to have a transmission for, so he didn't fix. But he don't even ask him how much he owes him. He just hands him my $30. It probably wasn't nothing to it. He just hands him my $30, you know. And so I said, how much was that? He said, we'll work it out, you know. I probably didn't owe him $10, you know, or something like that. But they made off with my $30.
Well, that's the way it is.
That's the way it is, folks.
Did you ever get any use out of them washing machines that I give you?
We got some parts.
I mean, I don't want nothing out of them. I hope you sold every one of them for 200.
I got you a drum.
Oh yeah, I want that. I forgot about that.
Bring that, but he hadn't brought it yet. Well, I got Richard a drum. Whoever wants one, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna look at that pile of cardboard he's got back there.
Yeah.
I don't know what cardboard breaks or brings, but I may haul that thing off for him.
I'd say it ain't worth hauling.
I don't know. I've seen people make a lot of money off of cardboard.
I bet they check it. I bet they check it, see if it's wet or dry too.
Probably.
I used to save cardboard for a guy I didn't want to throw it away, and I saved him up. He had a hole. I mean, I was giving it to him, and we had a lot of cardboard at one time over here, and he left here with just a big old pile of it. And he said, when we're, of course, that was back in '74 or '5. He said it wasn't worth fooling with. He said he done pretty good on newsprint. He picked up extra newspapers somewhere and hauled them. He said he done pretty good on newsprint, but he didn't do no good on that cardboard. Of course, there used to be an old boy up here hauled just a big old, looked like some of them rigs you pull. He'd haul it off. He must have done pretty good with it. He done it for years, but he'd bale it. He had some big piles of it, but I don't know how it's coming now.
Well, if you're going to do it, you'd need a baler.
Yeah. We used to bale tobacco.
Yeah.
We had Pop built this box and had a lid for it, and after we got our tobacco graded and tied up my hands, whenever it was in case,
press it.
when it was in case, we'd put it in this baler, lay it in there, and then he had this here pole, and he'd stick it to a hole in the barn over there, and me and my mama would sit on the pole while he tied strings around it,
Right.
and then he'd
You press it down
yeah.
with that.
And then whenever they got it to the auction house, they'd take it off. They had to take it out of the bales. The purpose of doing that so it wouldn't get tore up, so you could haul it.
Yeah.
When they got there, they'd take it back out and place it on these baskets and sell it.
Tobacco baskets,
Mhm.
yeah.
Some people would bring baskets from the warehouse to the barn and put it in there and tie it and take it that way.
Let me tell you what I got if anybody watching that might need it. I've got a workable, hand-cranked corn sheller.
We always borrowed one whenever we was going to grind a lot of corn. and
Well,
take
we
some-
had one that where I was raised, and I hated to shell corn. My daddy, he knew I hated to shell it, so he had 12 bushels of corn. He told me to give me a nickel a bushel to shell it. I wouldn't do it for a nickel a bushel.
Uh-oh.
So he made me do it for nothing. I
Yeah.
wound up doing it for nothing, you know. So that was 60 cents I missed.
You know, you have to take, you're supposed to take a cob, you know,
Yeah.
keep wearing your hand out, you'd
Right.
shell it with another cob.
Yeah,
I've shelled a whole lot of it.
yeah, but this one you put down, this also will do walnut holes. Of course, the easiest way to do walnut holes,
Throw them out in the
Exactly.
yard.
jack your car up
Yep.
just a little bit and take your board, let them roll down that board on that wheel, and it'll spit that hull out one way and the nut the other way.
How come you get out of the warranty business?
Well, they quit buying in this area. I think a lot of the walnuts had a lot of bad walnuts.
Well, they'd have got plenty last year if they'd have bought them.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many this year.
Well, there's plenty of them, but not last year was just a banner year for them.
Right, yeah.
There wasn't no chestnuts last year. There's plenty of them this year. Squirrels
Right.
about hauled all of them
What's
off.
that, chestnut?
Chestnuts.
Well, you got some Japanese.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've sprayed them every year for 4 or 5 years. Well, 3 years. I sprayed them for 3 years. You have to spray them early.
Right,
And them 3 years, there wasn't no chestnuts to mount anything.
right.
And this year, I didn't spray them, and it's covered up with them. And every one of them's got 4 worms in them.
How about that? Have you ever eaten any of those Japanese chestnuts?
Yeah.
They're pretty good.
Well, if you spray them when you're supposed to, see there's a worm or bug or
Right.
something crawls
Right.
up there and goes out on the limb and,
Right.
and lays an egg in the chestnut, and it
Right.
hatches
Right.
inside there. The worm don't crawl in, it crawls out.
Right.
If you can keep them till they start getting sweet, you know, when they first fall off the tree, they ain't no count.
Right.
But if you can get them if you can keep them for like a month after they come
Right.
off the tree, they're sweet and good.
Right.
But most of the time, well, if you don't spray them, the worms eat them before they ever get ripe.
Right.
I mean, they'll fall off the tree and you can cut them open and they're just they ain't a worm nowhere,
Right.
but they ain't got no flavor.
Right.
You can lay it on the shelf and go back in 3 weeks and open it up, and if you just go ahead and eat it, it tastes pretty good, but
Right.
it's crawling with worms.
Right.
We about done, Bob. Anything you
Yeah,
want to
well,
rant
so
about before we
We
go?
will see you tomorrow night. We're going to be on WLAF Channel 12 if you want to see me in Technicolor. And we're also going to be back here on the World Wide Web tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. That's 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
And
That's
if-
after
and-
the sun goes down.
And if the broadcast ain't working up Channel 12, we'll have a delayed broadcast here on YouTube, or no, it'll be on YouTube, not here on Ustream, but on YouTube. We'll rebroadcast it probably Friday morning or something.
Right. Be good, folks. All of you be good. Drive safely. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Happy trails.